So far, we've been putting all of our attention towards the assault rifles of XDefiant, and while it would make sense to keep that trend going, being the completionist that I am with this sort of thing, I just can't help it, guys. We have to talk about the Vector, a weapon that has such a demanding presence in any match that it appears in, and is arguably the fastest killing gun in the game. G'day there once again, viewers, your mate Kamikaze78 here, and welcome to our review and guide for the Vector .45 in XDefiant. As always, guys, the video is chaptered up into sections for you to enjoy at your own leisure and get what you want out of it. If you guys do end up enjoying the video though, please be sure to smack the like button and subscribe to the channel. I tend to cover a lot of first-person shooter games here, and it's always a pleasure welcoming new folks to the squad and to our community. I also stream a few times over a week on Twitch, so first link in the description down below if you're keen to catch up with us live as well. But enough waffle, let's dive into the review and start talking about the Vector's stats. And as we get started here, folks, I must admit, it does feel like we're shifting from extreme to extreme here with these reviews at the moment. We just covered the king of outright damage per shot in the assault rifle category, that being the M16, and now we see ourselves looking at the fastest firing weapon in the entire game. Like, I know we normally cover rate of fire a little later in the format here, but just look at that. 1,000 rounds per minute. That is what the Vector is sporting here. As a point of reference as to how fast that is going to feel, it's basically the weaponry equivalent of a real estate agent's speech speed at an auction. Fucking fast. Now, that's all well and good and all, but if a 1000 RPM doesn't convert with a decent damage per shot, it ain't really gonna matter a whole lot. The Vector sports a maximum damage of 19 out to a measly 13 meter range, a mid-tier damage of 11 to the 19 meter range, before dropping off to a minimum pitiful damage, dare I say, of 8 beyond that 19 meter range. On paper, it doesn't sound like a whole lot, even at the maximum damage range as well. And headshots don't do a whole lot to save us here either. With a small 1.2 times damage multiplier, we catch ourselves with a damage of 23, 13, and 10 at those respective distances. That gives the Vector a bullet to kill efficiency that ranges anywhere between 6 to 13 shots on body shots for 100 HP targets, or 7 to 15 shots for phantoms, and 5 to 10 shots for headshots on 100 HP targets, or 6 to 12 respectively for phantoms. And the very first thing that tells us about the Vector here, guys, is that if any enemy you face opts to roleplay like they're back in 2020 and begins to socially distance from you, then you might as well be shooting soggy peas at them. The Vector's damage over distance is nothing short of pitiful, and it really places all of its eggs in the CQC domain. I know that's to be expected here with an SMG and all, but the numbers really do illustrate that. But how good is it in the CQC domain? Well, combining everything we have in front of us here gives us the following time to kill values: 300 to 720 milliseconds on 100 HP targets with body shots, or 360 to 840 milliseconds on phantoms, or a smashing 240 to 540 milliseconds on 100 HP targets with headshots, or 300 to 660 milliseconds on phantoms accordingly. And man, those time to kill values in CQC are something to behold. The long range values definitely suck here, don't get me wrong, but also don't let that fool you. This is the deadliest full auto weapon in the CQC domain in the game as far as the raw time to kill is concerned, at least as far as I know, and that is worth your attention. Jumping over to the handling for the Vector here, we can see that the insane CQC killing power does not come for free. The recoil here is making like one big, brolic, pissed off deck collector, and they are here to collect. Okay, look, I may be overreacting here slightly, but the Vector's kick does feel pretty intense, mainly pushing upwards with a slight deviation to the right towards the end of the burst. It makes it pretty easy to compensate for, because you only need to pull down on your input of choice to compensate accordingly, but the intensity is worth noting. Mag size wise, we've got a mag of 25 rounds with a 100 round ammo pool that is reloaded in 2.1 seconds. Look, on paper, it all sounds pretty good and nothing really out of the ordinary minus a slightly smaller magazine size. But keep it in mind because the combo does give us a really crappy uptime to work with. More on that shortly. In the world of ADS times and sprint out times, we are dealing with an SMG here, which gives us some improvements in these categories compared to the ARs that we've been looking at thus far. 180 milliseconds for both. Definitely helps to keep the weapon that little bit more responsive for those close quarters scraps, which is nice to see. And that right there, folks, is the Vector in XDefiant. And look, guys, we know the Vector, it's a notorious weapon and one that has been appearing more and more often in first-person shooter games as of late. And look, its rendition in XDefiant is one that, yeah, does not let it down. In fact, this is a weapon that I was kind of sleeping on when I first got into XDefiant. I very quickly brushed it aside in favor of the MP7 due to the MP7's, extended magazine size by default. But upon return to it, there's just no denying that this weapon is the height of what you can achieve as far as CQC aggression is concerned in this game. This is the weapon for movement schmoovers out there that are looking for every opportunity to burt their way around corners and just melt enemies before they even knew what hit them. Statistically speaking, and speaking entirely from a raw stats perspective, there is not a single weapon in this game right now that will out DPS a Vector in a straight 1v1 in its domain of choice. Assuming same accuracy, same headshot, same whatever, the Vector wins every time in close quarters. And that says a lot about the weapon right now. It is a true face melter, a weapon that when you do get into that perfect sweet spot range, you will just be dominating opponents left, right, and center, and there's a lot to be said for it for that reason. However, and this is the reason the weapon kind of steered me away when I first started playing the game on launch day, it's not going to be a weapon for everyone because it does come with some significant hiccups that if you don't take the time to get used to them, and if you don't adapt your playstyle accordingly, you're going to find yourself suffering with the weapon big time. And the two biggest catches that come from the weapon is the damage range and in its uptime. Now, obviously, when it comes to countering the range, the Vector is simply not going to be your friend on some of the maps in this game. If you try to take the Vector onto maps like that, it will simply feel like you're trying to get a square peg through a round hole. You're just better off making other choices and picking other weapons and using them for said maps. On the maps where there are more CQC domains available to you, learning the maps and learning how to close the gaps and avoid the long-range sightlines that do appear is going to be crucial. If you are caught in a 1v1 gunfight outside of, say, that 11 to 19 meter range max, you are going to be on the back foot quickly. You need to be embracing the chaos and being unpredictable in that CQC domain to make the most of what the weapon has to offer here. And if you are in a situation where, someone at range has spotted you, you need to lock eyes with the closest piece of cover and bolt for it, my dude. Which also links me into the next Achilles heel that the Vector does carry with it, that being its uptime. As we discussed earlier, the magazine size here is only 25 rounds, and given that we've got a rate of fire here that dumps 16.6 rounds per second out of the weapon, it means that while yes, you are going to be killing enemies fast, you're also going to be dumping your mag hard and fast. Which means that this is not a crowd control weapon. You are going to be using this to get into the thick of it, get a kill or two nice and fast, and then back out as fast as you can to get that reload in. And with a 2.1 second reload by default, you are going to need to really embrace that downtime and respect it. Pushing the Vector to engage multiple targets quickly without giving it the downtime it needs is going to send you straight to the Shadow Realm here, and you need to be careful about that. But noting that, how can we take the Vector and improve it? Well, unlike a bunch of the other weapons that we've covered in the review process so far, this is a real one-trick pony kind of weapon. It's a weapon that you sort of build for one area, that being CQC, and you leave it at that. So for that reason, I've only got two builds today, but it's really only one build and a modification to that build you make should you be playing a certain faction in the game. Let's get into it. The build starts off by taking the barrel extender and the heavy barrel attachments. Now, yes, I know this is going to sound absolutely crazy. A 10% rate of fire reduction on the Vector punches it down to 900 RPM. Surely that's going to have a massive impact on time to kill, right, Cam? Well, yes, that is true here, but on the Vector and its 19 maximum damage, if you add 5% to that maximum damage, you cross over a bullet to kill threshold and shave one whole round off the bullet to kill requirement in CQC, which in turn brings the Vector down to a 260 millisecond time to kill on body shots. Folks, outside of the gameplay that you've been watching all video here today, I don't think I can illustrate, explain, demonstrate, whatever word you want to choose, how deadly this makes the Vector. It seriously feels like nothing can stand up to it if you are moving and schmoving and getting your shots down range accurately. Now, we've got the barrel extender on there as well, as what that does is that it adds some additional breathing room to the Vector. Yes, this attachment will not turn it into a medium range dominant powerhouse, but it will make sure that if someone is just that extra meter or two away from you, then the barrel extender gives you that bit more flexibility to score the maximum damage possible. If anything, it's simply a safety cushion attachment that goes a long way to giving you that little bit extra breathing room that the heavy barrel provides with that extended maximum damage output. As far as the rest of the build is concerned, we've got the super light grip and the fast mag. Now, the ADS time modifiers are cancelled out between these two attachments, yes, but you do get the movement speed benefit with the super light grip, and to be fair, the fast mag is just so critical on this weapon. That 40% reload speed buff does so much wonders for giving the Vector just so much more uptime in the field and ensuring that it can actually, go the distance when you are facing more than one opponent at a time. There is also the additional 5 rounds in the mag size here too, which also does go a long way. Oh, and a red dot sight, because let's be real, the Vector's irons are so damn clunky, I absolutely refuse to use them. Now, as I said, the second build that I run here with the Vector is very much a modification of the first one here, and it's only whenever I'm playing the Cleaners faction. The reason for this is that, if my understanding is correct, the incendiary damage caused by the Cleaners' incendiary ammo actually clicks over enough damage over time with the Vector's damage model to improve its bullet to kill threshold without the need of the heavy barrel. So I shift out the heavy barrel in favor of the chrome lined barrel, which does take away some movement and ADS time here as well, but it does add more range and again adds more forgiveness to the Vector if you are caught against someone at medium range and you've got no out against them. But as I said, I only run this kind of build when I'm playing the Cleaners, and realistically speaking, I'm still going to default primarily to the aforementioned build. But folks, with all of that said, that is my review and guide of the Vector 45 in XDefiant. If you guys enjoyed the video or found it helpful in any way, then a backhand of the like button does go a long way to support the channel. And if you're new here, get subscribed for more XDefiant content coming out soon, as well as a bunch of other first-person shooter games will be coming very shortly as well. Leave any builds that you use for the Vector in the comment section down below, and also let me know what weapons you'd like me to review next. As always, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Peace out, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Take care, guys. Have a good one.